Welcome to the Mind's Eye Status podcast. Today we're answering questions on communication skills. Your questions on Instagram. So let's dive right into it. The first question is how to be around a group of haters because you're related to them, unfortunately. People usually find my answer to be quite challenging because there's no two ways about it. If you are around family members who are not adding value to your goals and to your vision, then you simply need to move. You need to remove yourself from that environment. And if you absolutely cannot, for whatever reason, you need to establish some very clear boundaries. That might even mean limiting your conversations and exposure with certain family members. I'll give myself as an example. I was blessed to grow up with incredible parents and brothers, 3 younger brothers. The challenge was when I started to think very entrepreneurially. Is that a word, entrepreneurially? Very business-like. My parents being very traditional Kurdish parents, Kurdish refugees, immigrants, that was against what they believed. They believed I had to finish university, I had to get a good job, get a mortgage, and settle down in my early 20s. I knew that was not my heart's calling. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be running Mind's Eye Status, helping hundreds of clients all around the world for the past 6 years if I listened to that advice. So what I did was a leap of faith. And too many people who have big dreams, they never achieve those dreams because they fail to take that leap of faith. I gave myself 2 months in a very well-paying, safe, secure job in Sydney to find some clients and quit my job. I did it within 2 months. I gave myself a deadline and I burnt the boats. I burnt the boats by quitting my job and I left my parents' house. I moved to Melbourne in Australia by myself. I didn't know anybody there. I didn't have any friends. I didn't know how I was going to find my next client. All I knew was I'm taking that leap of faith. And I had to leave the city because I knew if I stayed there, consistently catching up with my family, even old friends who didn't believe in me, being exposed to that environment would have held me back. So again, the harsh truth is your environment, including your family, especially your family, is going to either make or break you. So make a choice. That was from Zoe 10143. Next question from one Abdallah 1. Whenever I am speaking in a social setting, I get self-conscious about how I'm speaking, and as a result, and then it trails off. If you're self-conscious in a group setting, it's because you're focusing too much on the self. You're focusing too much on how you're being perceived. This is one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason, why people overthink and have social anxiety. It's because rather than paying full attention to the people in front of them, giving people your full focus and energy, your energy is your attention, by the way, they're worried and thinking about how they're being perceived. What do people think about me? How can I prove myself? How can I look good, etc., etc.? Here's a secret. This is what most people go through and think. Most people are out there trying to prove themselves rather than just being authentic and grounded, being present, extremely present with the people that they're with. I'll give you 2 practical tips. I have some videos on this on YouTube, by the way. The first is, as I said, be present to the moment. Catch yourself when you're overthinking and bring your attention out of your eyes onto the person that you're with, using your eye contact to ground yourself. The second point is pay attention to your body language. Breathe deep through your nose. My nose is blocked right now because of allergies. But breathe deep through your nose into your belly, and with every exhale, relax your shoulders. Don't exaggerate it. No, when you're in a social setting, you don't want to look strange by breathing deep like that. Just casually relax. With every exhale, relax the muscles in your shoulders, relax the muscles in your neck, in your jaw, in your face, in your belly. These are the areas that get tight when you become self-conscious. So be very, very aware of how you're feeling, be aware of how present you are, and you will continue to catch yourself when you are self-conscious. You will continue to catch yourself when you are overthinking, and you want to avoid that at all costs. People aren't judging you as much as you're judging yourself. Being self-conscious is exactly that. You're focusing and conscious of yourself rather than being present. I hope that helps. Sogat Singh _X or .x says, how does EQ shape or limit our journey towards our authentic self? That's a great question, because emotional intelligence is the foundation for great communication skills, and it is necessary for tapping into our most authentic self. I'll give you an example. When you experience a negative emotion, let's say somebody did you wrong, or somebody betrayed you, and you feel hurt, you feel heartbroken. Emotional intelligence means A, recognizing it, which is self-awareness, and B, very important, self-acceptance. That's the step. Self-awareness, then self-acceptance. That is essentially emotional intelligence. Now, let's say somebody betrayed you and you're disappointed, you feel hurt. You're aware that you feel hurt and you accept the fact that you feel hurt. That is you being authentic to yourself. When you can accept, yeah, I don't feel great. I feel hurt. I feel betrayed. And I'm taking responsibility for it, which is step 3, by the way. You take self-responsibility for your emotions, no matter what happens externally. That's true self-esteem. That is authenticity. So when you communicate, when you go about your day, you're not pretending to feel a certain way. You're not wallowing in it. There's a difference between wallowing in your negative emotions and accepting them and embracing them. The latter is authentic. It's authenticity. So EQ shapes your communication unlike anything else. It's extremely, extremely powerful and necessary. Benjamin.Catajon says, how do you convey passion without seeming weak or overly vulnerable? While those two things are not mutually exclusive, they are mutually exclusive. Being passionate and being weak, who says that they go hand in hand? That question itself indicates a belief that you have that if you convey your passion or enthusiasm, let's say, that you come across as weak or overly vulnerable. The way that you would come across as weak or overly vulnerable is only if you are attached to whatever it is you're trying to express. For example, I can talk about communication skills and tell you guys passionately and enthusiastically that communication skills are the most important skill set that you need to develop in your life because it impacts every area of your life. For example, you'll have a lawyer or a doctor, and the quality of their service is going to depend on their ability to communicate to the patient or to the courtroom. Therefore, communication skills is extremely important, if not the most important skill. I just shared that passionately and enthusiastically. Do I seem weak? Do I seem overly vulnerable? No, that's an interesting belief you have. So ask yourself why. This is a great exercise for everybody. When you have a belief that's unhelpful, ask yourself, why do I believe that expressing or conveying passion makes me come across as weak? If you guys are enjoying this, if you can give this on Spotify 5 stars, it takes literally 10 seconds. I would greatly appreciate it. These podcasts are free, of course. That's how you can repay the favor if you wish to do so. Next, How do I communicate in a way that makes people feel I understand them before I speak? By Small17. You guys got some weird Instagram names. How do I communicate in a way that makes people feel I understand them? Great question. It's a great question because it's a question that stems from empathy. You want to understand other people. You want them to feel like you understand them as well. The way to do that is by using active listening. Active listening is repeating back to the person what they've said to you. For example, if somebody says, man, I'm so excited for my trip to Italy because it's going to be an opportunity to experience solo travel for the first time. So it might be a bit scary, but I'm up for it. If you respond by saying, wow, it sounds really exciting, and you're saying it's an opportunity for growth for you, which you're framing as a question, but I essentially repeated what I said or what the other person said, right? If you do that and you're curious, curiosity is king, by the way, in communication. If you become curious about things they've said and you pick up on these little nuances, oh, you mentioned it'll contribute to your personal growth. How? Why? How? Why? Very powerful words. Powerful questions. People will feel that you're actually listening. People will feel that you're paying attention, that you are present with them. They will love that. They would appreciate you for it. And then when you do speak, they're going to be more inclined to pay attention to you. Hope that helps. Excuse my sniffing, ladies and gentlemen, these hay fever allergies. Next and last question, Saj Bediz says, how can a person get over shame or guilt for a past sin and regain confidence? Very good question, and it's a deep one. I've experienced this myself. Again, you need to practice self-awareness, which it sounds like you have, and then self-acceptance. Accept the fact that you feel guilty. The book that you must read if you're experiencing this is called Letting Go by David Hawkins, where essentially, in a nutshell, you sit down, feel that feeling of guilt or shame, and allow yourself to feel it fully. Allow it to totally take over your body. Let it run its course. Emotions are finite. They are not infinite. Emotions feel infinite. We feel like they're never going to end. We're never going to escape these emotions. Guilt, shame, grief. But you're only prolonging it by resisting it. When you resist, it's just going to persist. That's what they say. You got to feel it to heal it. That's another one. So sit down and allow yourself to really process it. Journal about it. Write down how it makes you feel. Maybe talk to somebody. But the most effective method that I've personally found is sitting down, doing the letting go meditation by David Hawkins, and releasing those feelings. That'll be all for today. Thank you so much for listening. Rate us 5 stars. See you next week.